Well, hello and welcome back to a little video. I'm back inside today, so my apologies if the light isn't too good in here. I'm in my little study where I do a lot of my music and tape, as you can see, perhaps see the boxes of tapes, and where I do some music transfer and mess about with that. Obviously, it's now the dark nights, and it really does feel like winter today. It's the first day since we've altered the clock at the weekend here in the UK, and it's now dark at 5 o'clock. So I was at a bit of a loose end, and I thought I'd do a little video. It's a long time since I've done anything boating related, and thank you for all the lovely comments that people have commented about some of my boating videos. Sadly, as I've said in other videos, I've had to put my own boating on hold for a moment this year, what with the COVID of last year and then the start of this year, and then for other family reasons. But I hope to continue on with that at some stage, and hopefully things will go right and it'll work back in. But I was talking to somebody in the week, and they said they knew I'd been, messing about with boats for many, many years, virtually all my life, and they were saying, you must have seen some amusing incidents while boating. Well, that is true, and I suppose I've caused a few myself because, I'm not the greatest boat handler, and I've got a few ropes wet over my time, and I've fallen in a couple of times as well. But that said, there's a couple of, well, there's more than a couple. There's a lot of memories for me that still make me smile. Re-boating incident, so I thought I'd just recall a couple in this little video, basically for something to do, and if it entertains anybody, so be it, all the better. These both relate to my time when I boated on the River Great Ouse, which obviously flowed through Bedfordshire and what was Huntingdonshire and on into Cambridgeshire, and it's got a lot of tributaries that you can go off on: the River Wissey, the River Lark, the River Cam. You can go to Ely, you can go right to Denver Sluice, you can go right round the middle level and come back to the River Nene in Peterborough. But anyway, for many years I was moored at a marina called Buckden Marina, which is not a million miles from Huntingdon, to give you an idea where it is if you're not familiar with the river. And we were moored close. I had the new Norman 27. I've done a little bit about Norman boats and how I like Norman boats, and we had a new, it was a family boat. I say mine, but it was bought we bought it as a family boat, and we had the brand new Norman 27 we bought from Carry Kitchener Marine at Bedford, and we had a nice mooring at Buckden Marina for 3 or 4 years, and very close to us there was a couple with a very lovely, that they had bought it new, a Freeman 24. And you also know my love. I've done bits and pieces on Freeman boats, and so this was the later hard-topped Freeman 24, lovely boat. As I say, this was only 3 or 4 years old, and they'd had it since new. And the guy spent hours. He was one of those. He was a perfectionist. He sold buses as a profession. He was a bus salesman of all things. So he was quite mechanically minded. And I mean, he was meticulous with this Freeman 27. It was spotless, absolutely. And he was always out there every weekend or whenever they came to the boat. They didn't live far. I think they lived in Bedford or that end of the river, so they didn't have a long way to travel to the boat, and we got quite friendly with this couple. They were just a couple, and anyway, on this particular day, we took our boat. We used to like to go out, and in those days I was quite a keen coarse river fisher or fishing. I like fishing on the river, and it was quite good fishing on the River Great Ouse. So we'd gone down to a location called Brampton Mill, which is, you come out of Buckden Marina and turn on the river towards Huntingdon and Brampton, and it's 3 or 4 miles down river, and you go through Brampton Lock, and then there's a nice, like water meadow that you can moor up in, and the fishing there was very good. And so we took our boat out, and I was there fishing on the bank by our boat, and anyway, a little bit later on, because the river is quite wide. It's quite a wide river even there, even though you're upstream. It gets even wider as you get down near Ely. Perhaps some of you would have seen this year's boat race was the Oxford and Cambridge boat race was actually done just above Ely, and what a wide river it is up there. But I digress. Anyway, this Freeman, later in the day, this Freeman and this couple came past, and they were waving, hello, hello, and they went off, and I think they used to go and moor up in the little sort of suburb of Huntingdon, the little sort of place of Brampton, and they must have stopped there some time. Next to us, moored up, some distance away, was a grumpy old chap with a Dawn-craft boat. I don't know where he came from. He might have been a visitor to the river, on holiday. We didn't recognise the boat. It certainly wasn't a Buckden Marina boat. And talk about fishing. He'd got so much tackle there. He'd got an umbrella, although it was quite sunny, and he'd got an umbrella, and he must have had either, at a guess, he got certainly 3, and I think he got 4 more rods out fishing. And obviously there was only him and his partner, a lady there with him, his wife or a partner. So and all the tackle was strewn around, this umbrella, and he looked as though he was fishing in a match rather than just pleasure fishing, as I call it. Anyway, I had caught nothing on this particular day. It was very bright, it was very sunny, not an ideal day at that location. And I was just thinking about packing up, and we were going to probably head back up to Buckden Marina, to our mooring. And we saw in the distance, because you could see the river bends round, and we could see this Freeman 24, which was called Miss Smitty. Strange name, but that's another story altogether. And we saw Miss Smitty coming back up, and we were still packing up, and we got picnic chairs out, and I was disassembling my fishing rods, and he was going to, he was not breaking the river speed limit, but he was going, a fair lick, and he did slow down as he reached the moored boats, as the norm, what to be, as you always try and do. And there they were waving out the cockpit again. I mean, without being disrespectful to them, and I wouldn't want to be that to anybody, they, really, fancied their chances on this Freeman 24, and good luck to them. They'd, saved hard and bought this boat, and they were waving to us, and, so they went past us, and then I suddenly heard this a really loud shouting, oi, oi, this bloke was shouting, oi, and I come round from the back of our boat and looked, and it was this chap in a Dawn-craft, more just next to us, going up the meadow a little bit, and he was running along the meadow shouting. I mean, he was quite an elderly gentleman. He wasn't no youngster, and and he was shouting at this couple on this Freeman 24. And I thought, what the devil's he doing that for? And then I suddenly saw, as the Freeman had gone past, obviously the Freeman had an inboard with a a propeller near the back, and most unusually, I've only seen this happen a couple of times. As the Freeman had gone past, it had somehow got 1 or 2 or 3 or all of them of his fishing lines round the prop or round the shaft and it had pulled the whole lot, umbrella, chair, and it had pulled the whole lot into the river, and this Freeman 24 was steaming along with all this stuff in the middle of the river, towing behind it. And oh dear, you know, this, and eventually this guy, you know, he made them hear on this Freeman, you know, they eventually slowed up and drifted into the bank. And they were so dead embarrassed about this because, you know, as I say, it took them a long while to sort all this mess out. You know, they had to basically break. Well, I think it broke one of his fishing rods. That got so wound up, it got pulled up to the prop, and that sort of just cut it up. The chair, when they stopped, the chair sank. The umbrella, they salvaged the umbrella. But I've never ever seen that happen, you know, and as I say, it took them a long while to live that down in the marina, as you can happen, because the story spread around what had happened, and it was one of those times, you know, nowadays with mobile phones and cameras, you could have filmed it, but it was so comical to see all this stuff. I mean, it had took the whole lot. His fishing bag, I don't think they ever recovered the fishing bag because it's quite a deep river, the River Ouse there. And as I say, you know, it took him a long while. You know, I won't say what the name was, what they called him around the marina after this incident, but obviously quite a comical thing to see. You know, as I say, and I've never ever seen that. I've seen boats break fishing lines. You know, another incident was not so much an incident, but I was very friendly with a guy who used to run a few hire boats. It was a relatively short-lived business, but these boats were let through host seasons, and this guy owned the business, and he only had 5 or 6 boats for hire. I think 3 of his boats were brand new Fairline aft cabin Mirage 29s. I'll put some pictures up like I will of the Freeman so everybody knows what boats I'm talking about. Anyway, he was telling me the lovely story, and he had this on his office wall. A guy and family hired one of these Fairline 29 Mirage aft cabins for a week, and obviously that was all, it's all booked through host seasons, but they picked the boat up from his yard and he gave the instruction and told them what to do and where to go, and the boats were very well equipped. But there again, these were hard top boats, not soft top boats, and on the way back they went right down to Ely, and I think they went to Denver and perhaps went to Cambridge. But on the way back, coming back to St Ives, there again, for those that don't know, there's a medieval arched bridge across the river in St Ives with a little chapel on it. It's very unique. I think it's the only one probably in the UK. Oh, there again, if I can find a picture, I'll put a picture up of it. And anyway, all was going well, and you know, line the boat up, it's marked, you know, which arch you go through, the centre arch, and anyway, got coming towards it, and disaster happened. He was hit by a gust of wind and went far too far over, and of course with the arch of the bridge, you know, it took one side of the windscreen and the hard top right off. It broke it, you know, smashed the windscreen and ripped the hard top off, and you know, he was used to that. You know, I mean, they would have had it fixed within a day and it would have been back out again, you know, within a couple of days. You know, this happened a lot with hire boats. But when the guy came back and said, look, I'm ever so sorry, you know, we've done this, and the guy said, well, that's all right. He said, but obviously I have to get you to fill an insurance form out. So the bloke that had hired it said, sure, no problem. And he didn't look at it, and he filled it in, and you know, put his name, address, and his full, and there was a box on the form that said, you know, describe the incident that occurred, that, you know, blah blah blah. And this guy had written in this box, who'd hired the boat, as I approached St Ives medieval bridge, the bridge moved, right? And that caused me obviously to break the side of the windscreen and, you know, badly damage the side corner of the hard top. And he actually wrote that on this insurance form. The guy actually, obviously, after he'd read this, actually phoned. We waited until the guy got home, and later that Saturday, you know, when they took the boat back, he actually phoned the guy up at home and said, you know, do you realise what you've put on this insurance form? And he said, I mean, I'll read it to you if you know. And he said, you have put that the medieval bridge actually moved as you approached it. And he said, yeah. The guy said, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it did. Yeah. He said, my wife will back me up. She said, the bridge moved. And they were adamant that this bridge that had been there since the 14 or 1500s, or at the latest 1600s, had actually moved, you know, when they approached it. And the guy said, okay, you know, right, and he sent it off, and he had this actual little bit of this form actually framed, and it used to be above his desk in his office, because it amused him so much, you know, the fact that somebody, you know, was so adamant that this stone creation that had been there for hundreds of years had actually moved as his boat approached it. So as I say, there's all kinds of, you know, you find funny incidents with boats, and I mean that's just two that I could go on all night, but I won't, because I'm renowned for my rambling, and particularly about boats. But you know, I thought, you know, it makes for quite a little interesting video. You know, if you've got any interesting stories, you know, drop them in the comments block. I'd love to hear them, you know, because boating and that kind of thing, it does, you know, obviously I would hate to see anybody hurt or injured, or, you know, I don't, you know, mean in that case, you know, I've had quite a few, you know, incidents that, you know, I've had to, you know, help people out. You know, in my time I've put 2 boat fires out for people with fire extinguishers, you know, and they were quite scary, and I don't, you know, wouldn't want to dwell on incidents like that, but those would always struck me as being very comical, and you know, it still makes me smile when I think about them today. So there we go, just a little video, just some reminiscence on these dark winter nights. So I hope you're all well anyway, and hopefully I'll get round to doing some more videos soon, and as always, please like, subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, yeah, it doesn't matter at all, does it? And until the next time, I wish you well, and thanks as always for watching these videos, and we'll be back shortly with some more videos anyway, and thanks again, and bye for now anyway.